Hello, welcome back to this study time with Professor Kent. So, of course, on our channel we learn English every day, but on these days we learn study advice, or from January we'll start learning some health advice. So, of course, this is based on my tips of how to study better. So, of course, as I say here, how to study is more important than what we study. Yes, of course. I have 30 tips on my list I usually give to university students and my English school students. But now I've made it up to 34, and this video will be video number 35, and I'll summarize my 34 tips until now. If you want more information about any of these specific tips, please watch those videos. So they're under the playlist study tips, or maybe Monday playlist or study tips playlist. Please watch those to get more details on each idea. So in this summary, when I used to teach this to university students, I could easily spend, even my English school students, I could spend 2 days. And even 2 days is hardly enough, that I could spend about an hour or 40 minutes, about 40 minutes on each of these things. So today I'm just going to very quickly summarize them. So again, if you want more details, look at those videos of mine, or research the internet. Let's see. So this will be longer than usual on this day, or the study tips advice. Usually they're 3-4 minute videos. But I'll try to get through all 34 as quick as I can. So I won't show you the things. So on those videos, I'll show exactly what I mean. I'll show demonstrations of them, but I'll just explain them now. Number 1, use your favorite pen. Of course, dopamine. A lot of these are about dopamine, getting your energy up. So use your favorite pen, your favorite writing utensil. Then, of course, decorate your notebook. Decorate your notebook, decorate your study bag. That also gets your dopamine up, like, yay, I'm going to start studying. Number 3, let's say, always use a pen. Never use a pencil. Yes, and always. America, we always, from junior high at least for me, I never used a pencil. Unless in art class, that would be different. Never erase. You always use a red pen. That's what I always tell my students. You need to red pen yourself. That way you can know where your mistakes are. So always use. Yes, because it's weird. I don't understand it, where you erase and then want to be perfect. Your study books and your notebooks should never be perfect. They should show you what you didn't know. Like, oh, that was difficult. Like, a lot of students want it to look perfect, but no. It helps to know where your mistakes are. That was number 3. Number 4, Cornell notes. That's probably one of the best on this list. So it takes time to get used to doing it, but it comes from Cornell University, and it's about how to take notes. If you just take notes like exactly what the professor is saying, or if you read the book exactly, or read page 1, and then page 2, and page 2, or page 1, page 2, page 3, you're studying in the same way. Cornell Notes teaches you how to look at it from very different perspectives. There's at least 3 or 4 different perspectives going on in that video, so you can explain. Yes, of course, you imagine what kind of questions might come up on the side. At the bottom, you summarize what that page was about or what that chapter was about, and in the middle you take the notes. So you're looking at 3 different ways. You're making the notes, you're making questions about possible test questions, and you're making summaries which help with possible essay questions. All of them help with your studying, memorizing, and of course help you with the test. As they say, test, you got to be careful that the average person only remembers 3 days after a test was taken. So with Cornell Notes, it helps that memory expand even deeper. The breadth and depth of it is deeper. Number 5, parents and kids or students should compete against each other. So this is difficult. I would never say grades should compete. So my grade's better than you, or my test score's better than you. No. What I mean is, when you're studying, so this is study advice tips, when you're studying, like for example, college kids in America at a family restaurant, try to compete with each other. So one person will ask questions. I'm going to ask questions for chapter 3, and then 2-3 people, okay, you might have a bell, or you might just raise your hand and try to fight each other. It gets you excited, and when you practice, instead of just saying, okay, number 1 is like this, or chapter 2 is like this, or chapter 3 is like, no, hey, I'm going to quiz you, you quiz me. So you compete against each other. So if you're a parent, do that with your children. Number 6, where am I? Yes, parents compete. Yes, number 5. Number 6, raise arms above heart. That's why you'll see a lot of sports players give high five. That's actually psychologically, because if you raise your arms above your heart, you'll energize your heart. You'll tell your heart, wow, we're doing something good here. So actually, that's neat. From this high five action, it gave us an idea that, whoa, we did something good there. We should do it again. It revs you up. So again, it's similar to the favorite pen, but it's an easy way. That's why teachers will say, raise your hand. It'll make you excited before you answer, so it'll give you a chance. Okay, that was number 6. Number 7, take regular study breaks. That's the Pomodori technique out of Italy, but it was used a lot by self-help people in the 80s and 90s, where you take a Pomodori comes from the tomato, and you take a tomato timer and you time out your breaks. So it's based on the idea that you can never do one action more than 5 hours, but you should break up between 25 and 50 minutes maximum each action. You break it up, and if you break it up, you're starting fresh. So if you just study 5 hours straight, it's like this. But if you study 25 minutes, 25 minutes, 25 minutes, 25 minutes, then it's quite easy to refresh you. So it's about how much your brain will wear down if you do things straight. So, of course, that's the Pomodoro technique, number 7. So, number 8 now, advice, always wear a watch. Well, I'm not wearing a watch today, but always wear a watch while you're taking a test or studying for something, of course. So, you should measure your time. I always tell my students, the first action you should do, second action. First action you should do when you take a test, write down your name and date and everything at the top. Second action is time. Check how many pages, check difficulty, easy, difficult, and then time yourself. Okay, this page might take 8 minutes, but this page is more difficult. It might take me 24 minutes. This page is really easy. This last page, 3 minutes. And then you'll know. You can measure yourself and you can jump around. So you'll never be short on time. So that's, of course, time. That was number 8. Number 9, never arrive early. I always tell my students, maximum is half the student's age, half your age. So if you're 20 years old, you're a college student, 20 years old, maximum 10 minutes early. If you're in elementary, 10 years old, 5 minutes early. If you're, let's say, first grade of elementary, 6 years old, maximum 3 minutes early. The reason is our attention span only goes, it goes 1 minute for how old we are. So if you are 25 years old, you have 25 minutes of attention span. So at least until 25 is kind of measurable. Then, of course, if you're 12 years old, you have 12 minutes attention span. If you're 3 years old, 3 minutes attention span. So you shouldn't arrive more than 3 minutes early. You should arrive 1.5 minutes early, about half that. Okay, next, number 10, walk before an exam. So, of course, I showed, please watch that video. Number 10, I showed on the video great brain scan. So, of course, if you walk 25 minutes, a lot of people say you should get in the chair, get ready, get your pencils ready, paper, everything ready before the test. That's true too. But if you, instead of worrying about the test, that's going to rev up your stress. Instead, just take a walk outside in nature, especially they recommend around trees or bushes. 20 to 25 minutes. Walk around outside, not even think about the test. But what happens is your brain lights up. So please watch that video. You can see how much it lights up. But it'll light up, and which will help you dramatically on the test. And let's see next, speak out loud instead of reading quietly, of course. That's kind of obvious, but yes, remember anything you do, if there's not people around, if you're at home, if you're at the library or a family restaurant, it's difficult. But if you're at home, always realize, especially language, but anything, even math, I would always think out loud when I did math problems. Like, okay, this is a problem. Okay, the train is coming from here, A to B. Okay, so think out loud, because when you learn, depends on people, but audio, visual, we'll talk about that later. But there's 3 ways to learn, and it uses all your senses when you do that. Number 12, reward yourself with a snack. Maybe we'll talk about this later when I talk about my health tips. But reward yourself with a snack. On that video I showed, like, if you finish one page or if you finish one homework, here's your snack. There you go. So one snack at a time, whatever your favorite snack is. I like chocolate, so that's good for me. Peanut chocolate is my favorite. So I might rev myself up, but don't eat a lot. But exactly, okay, page finished, I get to have a snack. Let's see. So that was number 12. Number 13, teach what you have learned. I said Cornell Notes is most important, our top. But this was probably the number 1 thing if you want to be smarter. I can't believe not everybody does this. So number 2 is Cornell Notes. Maybe this is number 1 of all these tips if you do only 2. So teach what you've learned. My elementary teachers always made me do that. If somebody finished, not just me, but everybody, if somebody finished early, okay, please help another kid. Please teach them what they learned. All of my students in my English school know this, that when you teach someone else, you become smarter yourself. As Einstein said, like, if you cannot teach a 6-year-old, then you don't know it. So if you really know something, you should be able to teach a 6-year-old. It's a great test. So what he was talking about mainly was about professors traveling around the world, and they talk these difficult languages, these difficult vocabulary that other people can understand. So, but what I think also it gets to the point is that the only way to really understand something is to teach it. It's like the Socratic method from Socrates. He would never answer a question. He would answer a question with a question. He would make them explain back, what do they mean? What is their idea? So of course it's the best way to learn. So whoever's doing the teaching is actually learning much more than the person that's getting taught to. So for example, some of my parents think, oh no, my kid's wasting time teaching someone else. No, 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 they're not wasting time. They're learning much more than the receiving person. The receiving person is learning, but the teaching person is learning much more, because to explain it to another means you really got it. Okay, so please do that. And number 14, I won't explain detail here, but SQ3R, which I learned when I was in school. I was surprised. I found a video on this that nowadays children don't learn this. I was so shocked by that. But it's basically how to study a textbook. So please watch that video for more details. But when you look at a textbook, you don't just go through page by page. There's a way to look at it, which are the SQ3R method, which is survey, question, read, recite, and review. So please watch that video to check out more about explaining each step. Number 15, take a 20-minute nap. This is sometimes called a NASA nap. NASA recommends 26 minutes, but some companies, even in Japan, some companies have a napping booth, like an old phone booth you see in the office. They can go in there and they can sleep in there. They started doing it because some people were sleeping in the bathroom. It was kind of dangerous maybe, so they would get to sleep. And exactly, the point is, back to earlier we talked about the Pomodoro technique, that your brain can only go about 5 hours without needing refreshment. So school going 8 hours is crazy. Also office 8, 9, 10 hours or more is crazy. So what you do is if you go 5 hours, for example, if you start from 9 a.m., by 2 p.m. you're kind of done. You're washed out. So you're wasting time from 2 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. But instead of wasting time, like NASA recommends, you just take a nap for 25 minutes at your desk, 26. Maximum 26, not more than 30. Recommended between 20 and 26. And you can refresh. And when you wake up, bam, you can start over your 5 hours. So you can do 5 hours, if like this, no nap, 5 hours and down. Or 5 hours and then 5 hours. You can do 10 hours in a day. So it's a great tool. So some schools are even starting to have nap rooms. Okay, number 16, study 30 minutes before bedtime. I say this a lot, but it's true that 30 minutes before bedtime, you have to study. So the 30 minutes before bedtime, it's times 20 while you're sleeping. So 30 minutes before bedtime, studying whatever you did, like playing the piano or practicing English. During bedtime, that's 10 hours of practice you can get. Okay, let's see. So study 10 minutes for bedtime. Ah, yes, next. Number 17. We learn with all 3 senses. So, of course, audio, visual, and audio, visual, and kinesthetic. So by hearing, by seeing, and by touching, we learn all 3 ways. So of course, make sure to do. Everybody learns, some people learn different ways, stronger, but everybody learns all 3 of them. So for example, for me, I think visual is maybe stronger, and the audio is maybe 30%, visual is 50%, and maybe kinesthetic is 10%, but it depends on the person how much. So I realized, so we've done 17 now. We've done halfway. So I want to break up this video, so I'll make another video with the other 17. So this is study tips 1 through 17. So see you in our next video, and don't forget to watch these other videos on our channel. And don't forget, if you want more details on each of these 17 tips so far, please watch these study tips playlists, and you can see individually each advice. Thank you very much, and see you in tomorrow's video.